So since I made my last AMD stock price prediction for 2024, there's been some considerable changes surrounding AMD stock. For that reason, it necessitates that I update my AMD stock price prediction for 2024. So I'm going to share with you what my previous price prediction was and where I'm updating it to. So let's jump right into it. Let's take a look.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, in this previous video, I did updating my AMD stock price prediction. I had forecasted that AMD stock price would be between $210 per share and $240 per share by the end of the year. Since this recommendation was made, or since this prediction was made, there's been some changes, notably to AMD's earnings per share forecast for 2025. You could see here in this video that the earnings per share forecast for 2025 was $5.48. Those have been revised lower, to my surprise. In the video, I suggested that when there would be revisions, those revisions would be higher for AMD's earnings per share in 2025. They've instead moved lower. That was surprising, and that requires me to now update this AMD stock price prediction. So let's incorporate those new results in here. So as I noted, AMD stock price has dipped since that last prediction at a high of $211 per share in March. AMD stock price has been on a huge downtrend here, reaching $155 as of this recording. Now, AMD's valuation has also decreased. It's now trading at a forward price to earnings of 28.6. I mentioned the earnings per share estimates, and I have them here. Wall Street analysts had previously forecasted AMD's earnings per share 30 days ago at $5.48. They've since moved that lower to $5.18. So these are the revised numbers I will use in my updated stock price prediction for AMD stock in 2024, and you're going to see what a big difference these updates will make. So when I incorporate that $5.18 in earnings per share for AMD in 2025, along with the 28.6 forward PE multiple, that gives a stock price prediction of $148 per share by the end of the year, and right now it's at 155. So if nothing else changes, then AMD stock price is actually expected to fall by the end of the year, which I don't think to be the case. I think it's more likely that AMD stock price rises between now and the end of the year, and I think the bulk of that increase is going to come from a higher PE multiple. If the PE multiple rises to 32, the stock price could rise to 165. If the PE multiple were to rise to 35, then the stock price could rise to 181. However, if things keep moving in the direction they've been going, AMD stock price could fall further. As the PE multiple falls to 25, its stock price could fall to $129 per share. The scenario that I think is more likely is a PE multiple closer to 35. And if I was to give you a range for where I think AMD stock price will be, I think the most likely range will be something in the range of 180 to 190 for 2024, and that's revised lower from my previous forecast of between 210 and 240. So AMD's forecast is less than expected, less than I was expecting just a little over 30 days ago, because of this big revision downward in its earnings per share forecast for 2025. One of the reasons that Wall Street has become less optimistic about AMD's earnings per share outlook is the slower recovery in semiconductor demand. The AMD is not just selling into the artificial intelligence end market. AMD also sells into the personal computer end market, and that market is not recovering as quickly as some had anticipated for 2024. Early estimates suggested that the personal computer market would rebound or increase by roughly low to mid single digits. So something like 2, 3, 4, 5% increase year over year for the personal computing industry. Now that might be revised lower to being, let's say, flat or slightly up only, so that higher end of that forecast could be eliminated. Taiwan Semiconductor recently updated its forecast, and it said that its upside is lower than it initially thought. It thought it was going to grow by at least 10% or 10% and higher, and now it changed the wording to around 10%. So that's a big distinction, because that means that its rate of growth this year could be 8, 9, 10, 11% instead of at least 10, which is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15% even. So that's a big distinction downward for Taiwan Semiconductor. And Taiwan Semi is a supplier to companies like NVIDIA and AMD. And so that signals poorer demand coming out from AMD. And revisions have been made because of that. So remains to be seen if this continues onward. AMD's set to report earnings in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to give us a lot of information about its actual demand and how its new GPU is performing in the AI market, what kind of customer orders and demand it's seeing. So a lot can change between now and the end of the year. As you've already seen, just in the last month alone, a lot has changed, and the market is always moving. New information is always coming in. And so analysts on Wall Street and myself, we're always updating our forecasts and predictions because new information is coming in, right? Every month we get new information about unemployment and job creation. Every week we get new information about jobless claims. You get the CPI report. You get all of these different reports and information that comes in that you have to incorporate into your predictions and update them if it needs revision. If those new information, those new data points come in as you were expecting, then the revisions are not that large and you keep your predictions roughly where they were. But if the new information that comes in is significantly different than what you were expecting, then you need to make revisions. Now, one of the surprises for me in 2024 has been the stronger economy in the US. Coming into the year, I didn't expect the US economy to perform as well as it has. Jobless claims have been low, job creation has been high, consumer spending has been high, real GDP has been better than expected, all of which has changed my expectation for interest rate changes. Initially, coming into the year, I thought there was going to be 3 interest rate decreases from the central bank in the US. Now I only think there's going to be 1 interest rate decrease from the central bank in the US. So for those reasons and more that comes along, you update these recommendations, you update the predictions, and hopefully by the end of the year, you're close to the targets that you set out to start the year. But it's very difficult. There's a lot of estimates and assumptions, as you've seen in this video. And so that's why instead of giving you one number where I think the stock price will end up, I'm giving you a range between 180 and 190. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm going to need to revise this number again as new information comes out. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.